Welcome to High School Backups Podcast. My name is Nick, and I'm waiting to see if I started this correctly. Kind of a joke, kind of serious. It looks good on my side. We're going to wait 2 seconds, and we're going to see if the stream pops up. Otherwise, we are happy to be here today on episode 54. I should know that because I'm the one who put it in. Looks like all things are good. My name is Nick, and
Woo! Good job, Nick. Round of applause,
kind of a
Nick.
joke. Everyone's talking. I didn't break it.
on
my
awesome.
side. We're gonna wait.
Feels-
I promise I'm more confident of this that it actually works. The only reason why I wasn't is because I haven't done this in 2 months. Because usually Jake does it. Jake is home because Jake is worried that his camera sucks. Therefore, his opinions aren't worth being here tonight. So here we
He was
are.
actually called to the White House for an ethics hearing in Congress, but do not worry,
actually,
he will be back.
Yes, Jake, the king of ethics. No sarcasm needed. Okay, so welcome to episode 54. We have some good topics for us today. Truthfully, not a ton, but there certainly has been some outrageous stuff going on in the NFL today. A lot of future storylines starting to be created outside of the NFL. We're really kind of gearing up, getting towards the playoffs in the NBA and the NHL, so it's not a ton going on other than whatever the hell John Morant's doing. MLB is in spring training, so we'll be talking about that a little bit more next week as we get a little bit closer to the start of the season. We will talk briefly about the lead up to March Madness, as we will be getting ready to do our March Madness episode where we do our brackets.
Next week.
Literally next week.
Literally next week.
So we think we have a better plan of how we're going to do it this year. Probably similar to what we did previously with like the NFL, where we all did one bracket together rather than all doing separate ones and spending 2 hours going through a bracket. We think.
Hey, that was fun though.
It was fun, but it was a long time and it was all over the place. So maybe we will still do it, but we think we have a better system for next time. So, anywho. Let's start off with, I think let's just go right into the NFL. We never start with the NFL. So today was essentially, or I guess yesterday was essentially day one of the league's official start of the year. What that really means is that free agency is open. And it means that teams can start to finagle and wiggle their way around into with free agents, our upcoming free agents, players on their teams for extensions, as well as they can start to do trades and other fun things that teams like to do. So it really becomes open season. So a few different things that happen today. We're going to start off with the most outrageous thing that we've seen. So essentially, leading up to this point, we saw many rumors about the Giants and Daniel Jones and discussing contract extensions. Now, there were rumors going around for the last 2 weeks or so that Daniel Jones wanted upwards of $45 million. At that time, when we saw that, Kyle was like, this is ridiculous. We all said, this is ridiculous. This is way too much. He'd be making the third most money in the league or something like that. And so we're like, he needs to be making 25 to 30 million max because he hasn't proved shit otherwise. Well, today we come to find out that the Giants have signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $160 million contract, $40 million a year. On top of that, there's an additional $35 million worth of incentives for him to make.
Wait.
It is an addition.
Yeah, it's not an addition.
I looked it up. It said it was an addition.
No way. Is it really? Hold on. Because it said, okay, you keep talking and I'll find this out.
So guaranteed money, it was $85 million guaranteed, which essentially means no matter whether he gets hurt or anything like that, he gets $85 million. However, 82. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So at the very least, there was roughly $35 million. Regardless, let's look at this on either side. Either $35 million above or below, he's still making in 4 years roughly $130 million, which means he's making an average of about $35 million a year, which still puts him, if I do a very quick Google search, salaries 2023. Let's look. That would put Daniel Jones at a whopping 6th place, right with Kirk Cousins. Now, in general, that doesn't sound awful, but when we look at who is behind him, or who's ahead of him for that matter, we see Deshaun Watson. What's up?
My light just like randomly turned off.
Oh, funny.
That was
It's
that
because
was
there's a
great.
ghost that lives in that apartment.
Yeah.
So Deshaun Watson's set to make $55 million next year, which is his whole other issue. Patrick Mahomes, who very well deserves it, is going to make $49 million, just over $49 million next year. Dak Prescott, the most. This is cap hit, by the way. The most obnoxious quarterback in the league who makes way too much money is going to be $49 million. $49 million to the cap next year. Josh Allen, $39 million. Ryan Tannehill, $36 million. And then Kirk's at 36. Matt Ryan, 35. Tom Brady, 35. And it goes down from there. I almost don't like this list because this doesn't feel right. 1 second. Here we go. This is much better. Average year. So, 30. Let's say technically he's supposed to make $40 million a year, which puts him right on par with Matt Stafford and Dak Prescott. I do not by any means think he is as good as Matt Stafford. Dak Prescott is also overpaid. So I think that right now, Daniel Jones sits with the overpaid category, considering just below him is Derek Carr, who is better than him.
Underpaid. Dramatically underpaid. I was gonna say.
I wouldn't
Derek
say
Carr is, yeah.
underpaid. He's making $37 million a year. But anyways, Kirk Cousins, who is probably somewhere in the range of DJ, but at this point, in my opinion, Kirk Cousins has played better, at least during the regular season, than DJ. But not by a lot, but like he has played better. He's proven more. Jared Goff, which I think is a good combination with DJ, except Jared Goff has made it to a Super Bowl. And then you have Lamar Jackson right there, who we don't even talk about how much better he is than all those people he is below. So then at that point, you're talking $25 to $30 million range is what we thought DJ should be. And so the fact he's going to make anywhere from $35 to $40 million a year is absolutely gross. So I'd like to get some thoughts.
I do want. Mind if I go next, just because this is about my favorite team? I don't want to step on anyone's toes or anything.
Go ahead,
Kyle. So first, according to CBS Sports, it is an $82 million fully guaranteed, with the potential of up to $35 million in incentives.
I'm reading right here. I'm reading Ian Rappaport. 4 years, $160 million. $35 million more in incentives, $82 million over the first 2 years, $94 million virtually guaranteed at signing. First year cap number is around $19 million, and it goes up from there. So that's $82 million in the first 2 years is $41 million a year is how much he's making. This is from Ian Rappaport 2 hours ago.
That's insane.
So in 4 years, he could make up to $195 million. Daniel Jones.
So here's the thing.
No comments.
Hold on. Okay. I love Daniel Jones. I have been a defender of him since he came into the league. I have seen him steadily get better and better as time's gone on. This year, he along with the help of Dayball and Saquon and the Giants defense, took this team to the playoffs when no one thought it was possible. No one gave them credit. Even coming into the playoffs, no one gave this team credit versus the Vikings. Very few people, anyway. Daniel Jones was a part of that. Do I think he's worth $40 million a year? No. No, I don't. However, that in mind, I don't think it's as atrocious as time goes on. The reason is the people that you mentioned below him, Nick, and Matt Stafford, Dak, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Derek Carr. I'm leaving Derek Carr out of it for the split second. I think everyone up but Derek Carr signs their contracts a few years ago when what they signed at the time was high to the quarterback market.
Yes.
What it is now and what it will be in the next few years when you get Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, even
Mac Jones potentially.
Mac Jones and even Lamar within this next coming cycle, right? Those guys alone are going to be making close to more than what Aaron Rodgers is making now alone, just because they are the future. So when you look at what is going to come, I don't think Daniel Jones's contract is that absurd. It looks absurd now. Absolutely, when you keep in mind who he is around and what his play has been like excluding this year, this contract looks absurd. But when you think about what will be in long term, I think this contract is actually not as bad. I still think it's an overpay. I don't think he's worth 40. I would have preferred 30, so we could have actually signed Saquon instead of franchise tag.
Franchise tagging and possibly losing him next year.
Correct. I would have preferred that, but we at least get Saquon for one more year. We have Daniel Jones locked up for 4 years. We don't have to worry about a quarterback essentially as we can build the rest of our team.
I still don't believe that. Now, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones will be awful, but I think there's still definitely a world where he shows massive regression next year. And then,
I agree.
And then it's just like totally not worth it. And he's a worse contract than Matt Ryan. Like,
I agree. So I was just going to say that other side. There is a big if that could happen. If
Now
everything falls apart and Daniel Jones goes back to what he was like in his first year, then this is obviously one of the worst contracts in NFL history. I mean, don't see that happening. I hope it doesn't happen.
You have no receiving core.
No, but that is our biggest issue. And
that you need to solve in this draft.
Yes. So when you also look at the people around him who have these contracts, what do they all have in common? A bona fide number one wide receiver. Dak has it. Kirk has it. I would even say Jared Goff has it now. Matt Stafford has it.
So
Matt Ryan has it.
Are you telling me that you know something, that the franchise knows something that we don't right now, and that honestly, with D-Hop being on the market right now, is this a suggestion that they're probably going after D-Hop right now?
I think they're going to.
How are they going to afford him?
That's what I'm saying.
Daniel Jones is only 17% of our cap. Which, when you look at the quarterbacks above him, they're upwards of 20+% of the cap. So again,
you know why? It's because the cap hit is only $19 million the first year. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that it's smart that they're. Here's the thing, because a lot of like longer term deals, you pretty much can have like large amounts of the cap hit pretty much be in the later years. So by having a small cap in next year, I'll give this to the Giants. If they structure the next 2 years to be the lower end of the cap hit, I mean, that's in 2 years. You can give them another chance, and if it doesn't work out, you can release them and save some money. Save, close to $20 million. So I'll give them that because a lot of Dak's contract is mostly guaranteed money. And also, Jerry Jones is stubborn and doesn't want to admit that he was wrong, so he's not going to get rid of Dak. So that's why they're eating the cap hit.
He's not going to also get rid of Zeke. He's like, he overpaid players that begged for the money and decided that if they weren't going to get the money, they were going to sit out a whole season on their last year. And he gave in to them instead of just letting them walk and just like
but
gave them these big name contracts.
I think Zeke was worth it at the time.
Zeke was, but now look at him. You got Tony Pollard that they just freaking franchise tagged, and you got this man sitting behind Zeke still, who's taken off.
You couldn't really predict that Tony Pollard was going to play better than Zeke at the time you make the contract.
Yeah,
you don't.
2 years.
Tony Pollard.
2 years.
Tony Pollard wasn't drafted
when he signed that contract.
Exactly.
He was drafted.
Yeah, I know.
You're expecting Zeke to be the number one running back in the league for years to come. Like obviously they know
this is where they're going to make draft capital off of Zeke, though. Right now, nobody's going to want him now for how big of a contract he has.
But they haven't sucked though, Andrew.
Yeah.
Like,
they haven't, but I mean,
they're still making the playoffs. But that's besides the point. That we're getting sidetracked to that point.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the point is that I think it's a massive overpay. It seems like Kyle does too. I agree that in the future, like it won't be as bad. Like that's just a fact. Like all numbers become inflated and get more inflated. Like if you said $50 million for any player, like 15 years ago, they'd be like, who the hell? Like there's nobody making 15 million. Like it would be very different. So. I totally get it. I'm totally with you. Steve, do you want to add anything before we chug the lawn?
I mean, I will say, like, with a quarterback cap hit like that, I honestly, considering it's so low, this could be a good chance for them to maybe go for a receiver. I mean, there are more receivers on the market than people realize, especially the Raiders could be in rebuild mode if they can't secure another quarterback, or the Bengals can look at maybe with T. Higgins, or even who's I'm thinking of. D. Hop can be moved off of. I mean, Jacoby Myers is to hit free agency potentially. So, I mean, it's not a bad move by the Giants. Like, I get it. It's
Go ahead, Steve.
they have it spread out, which is good. But I mean, just oh my gosh, that's just so much money. I just hope they know what they're doing. That they know to cut him when he does what he does best and fumbles or falls when there's nobody near him.
It'll be interesting.
That was one play, Steven.
I'm sorry, Kyle. You do that once, you're never gonna live it down.
I will say that in this draft, you probably should be drafting a late round quarterback to sit behind him.
I think that's facts.
On a safe bet, because Tyrod Taylor, as much as he's good as he is, he's nearing the end of his career. I mean, you still got Jones, who's young, but I mean, like,
Or if you could
getting
draft
a
a
young
better quarterback low, I mean, if you could somehow get
Stetson Bennett. I'd take Stetson Bennett in the late rounds.
I want you
But
to
anyway.
Hey, I'm just saying that's something you probably want to think about. The franchise needs to think about is that if Jones starts to flop, you need to have a backup situation.
Just get Phillip Rivers.
I want to talk a little bit more about some of the money. The Giants have $44.4 million in cap before this move. That puts them down to just about $35 million in cap left. Certainly enough room for a wide receiver. The problem is they need more than just wide receiver. That includes offensive line. As we saw towards the end of last year, they have 2 competent offensive linemen, and everyone else is just in shambles. And it causes Daniel Jones to have to run. And then on top of that, like, the defense was kind of Swiss cheese last year, especially the secondary. You gave up You gave up your best safety to the team that lost in the Super Bowl. I don't really have to say for free, by the way.
Corner. No, it was your corner. Bradbury was a corner.
Yeah, but he played safety for the Eagles. So, side note. So, anyways, point being, they need still a good bit to be like a good team to get to the Super Bowl. And the fact that, like, they need to do a lot this year, they really kind of have to go all in and then hope that Daniel Jones' contract doesn't catch up with them by the time year 3 and 4 rolls around. Like, that's the problem, because it's only going to get bigger and more painful. So, anyways, that was the first we want to talk about, especially with Kyle.
I want to just say that ESPN just graded that signing as a C- for Daniel Jones.
I bet you if it was $30 million, it would have been like a B+.
Yeah.
I bet you if they didn't resign him, they would have said it was an A. Like, ESPN's grade.
No. See, the thing is I would have probably put the non-exclusive franchise tag on him. So then you could see what other teams would have marketed him at if they were looking at him.
And then I should have signed Saquon, actually one of the best 3 players in his position. Let's start off with Saquon. We're going to go through some people who are tagged. Today was the tag deadline, so we're going to be able to go through quite a lot of players and talk about them if we would like. First things foremost, Saquon Barkley was tagged. He will officially make $10.091 million this year. That is underpaid for Saquon. He should be making somewhere in the 15 to 17 range, which would put him in the top 3. I still struggle to want to invest in running backs. However, in my mind, 10 or 15 or so million doesn't feel like a huge investment, considering they would be like about 10% of the cap, and you're one of the best in your division. Like, that feels like roughly decent to me. I don't know. I think we all agree that they should have actually signed Saquon, not tagged him, but tagged him is the next best thing.
Sorry, go ahead. You can go, Steve.
Oh yeah, thank you. Honestly, I just think with running backs, I mean, I can't remember which show. I think it was Colin Cowherd. He did a breakdown of Super Bowl winning teams and how much they paid into their running back. And it's always tough putting money into a running back just because of their position. Any given play, they can, just on a single heavy back run. Because Saquon's got quads, but you have to remember, those powerful quads can do a lot of damage to your knees on a bad day. So that amount of pressure from that muscle can be really bad on his legs. So
especially on that turf field at MetLife.
I've never heard of a problem with fields. The Super Bowl field was perfect. It was perfect. I loved it. But Saquon also was phenomenal last year.
I will just say I understand. I'm upset the Giants didn't sign him right away, but I understand where they're coming from to want to do what they did and see what the market is for him before matching it. Just because I think that gives them a good advantage because he's injury prone. Like we saw for the
Right.
past 2 years that his injuries caught up with him and he was not as good. This year obviously was his breakout year, his comeback year, and he
Mhm.
excelled in that. But with that injury history that he has, I can see where the Giants are coming from essentially to just kind of see what the market is for him. Worst comes to worst, they get 2 first-round picks for him. Best bet, they match the player. So
Um,
I see where they're coming from and why they did it. I don't agree. I think they should have just signed him to a contract just to have him rostered. But I see the pros and cons with what they did with him.
from a financial standpoint, I could see why the Giants also did it. I mean, it doesn't take up a lot of their cap space franchise tagging him. Like you said, it also allows for to kind of explore the market next year. Especially since there's a lot of like the rookie running backs that just came in like a couple years after him that were stellar that are hitting the market. Um, Josh Jacobs is another one who was supposed to be hitting the market but was franchise tagged. So they're probably going to test out to see what his value is, comparing it to Saquon's, because those two are probably the top 2 running backs of last season. So they're going to probably test it out to see what comparisons they can pull off of that. Behind it, I also think that if they decide not to, this draft as well, they're probably going to draft someone probably in the mid round to kind of sit behind Saquon. I mean, you have a lot of veteran running backs behind Saquon, but I mean, it's like getting a
We
younger
do
guy.
we do
You
need
have like
a player.
you have some very old running backs. You need some young bucks
I
behind
don't
them.
even remember who our backup is. I can't remember his name.
Wasn't it like Booker or something?
No,
It was like the
someone else. I don't even.
Jonathan. I
He
don't
didn't
know.
get a lot of. He didn't get a lot of snaps.
no
I'm genuinely blanking on who it was.
Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman.
Nah, that doesn't sound right. Hold on. That's
Mhm.
gonna
What
bug
team
me.
are we talking about?
The
The
Giants backup.
Giants.
The backup to
Who's his
Saquon.
backup? Oh, Adrian Peterson.
Why do I
Oh,
want to say Matt Breida?
Oh yeah,
But Matt
that's it.
Breida
Thank
is
you.
Matt.
one.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank
Matt
you.
Breida is one of them.
Wayne Gallman was also there, and then he got moved halfway through the season.
Oh yeah, he got moved to the Vikings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Mhm.
so Saquon, I mean, he had a good year last year. Obviously, a career high in both yards and touchdowns. I mean, we'll see what happens the next few days, next few weeks. But I think you should talk to other teams. You can talk to the Bills and other stuff. Only a few other tags here. Evan Ingram. I think we can all agree is a solid tag. Why'd you laugh, Kyle?
No reason. No reason. Keep
I'm
going.
No,
really
you're
surprised.
upset
He's
because he
just-
actually had a stellar season with a better quarterback down in Jacksonville.
I'm
Yeah.
upset because he never had the chance. I think under Dayball he would have been really good.
I think so. I
Oh,
will
I
agree
think
with
that's-
Kyle on
I
that.
think that's
I-
fair. I think that
That's
there's
what
a
I'm
reason
upset
why
about.
he was so good last year. It was like a top 5 tight end, probably fourth or fifth, but certainly really good. He had 73 receptions for 766 yards and had a good amount of touchdowns too. I think this is a great tag for the Jags, who just officially announced Calvin Ridley will be back officially, which is
That
fantastic.
receiving core is going to be deadly
They
now.
continue.
Yes.
They continue to make me think about whether or not I keep Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence in my other league. So we will see where I decide with that. Lamar Jackson officially got tagged. However, this is tagged with the assumption that he's likely going to get moved somewhere else.
So actually, Field Yates just reported that teams that reportedly will not be pursuing a deal for Lamar Jackson are the Falcons, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Commanders, and the Raiders. So
Wow.
the teams that would be needing a quarterback are not going to be pursuing.
But
Well,
the
think about what they
Patriots
would have to
might.
pay. Okay, that'd be something. But think about who they would have to pay for Lamar. That's the
See,
big
but the
problem.
thing is that they would also like have to really overpay to make sure the Ravens don't want to rematch that deal.
I don't think the
So, like,
Ravens are going to match it anyway. If
I
they
don't
did,
think
they
so.
would.
I
No.
think they're going to respect him
yeah.
at this point. I think there's a respect that he just wants to leave, and this is a way that they can still get some compensation for him. I think this is.
Yeah.
I think
So-
he's just going to leave. Whatever they give him.
What does that leave? Like the Colts and
The Patriots.
No,
no,
the
stop it. Stop it.
Aaron Rodgers is
Stop
going
it.
to the Jets. We need something. We don't have enough.
Wait, did I miss something about Aaron Rodgers
We're
going to
gonna
the
talk
Jets?
about it,
official.
Justin.
We're gonna.
Yeah, we'll talk
stay
about it in a
tuned.
Stop it. You back up Mac Jones right now, Nick.
No, give me Lamar over Mac any day, or move on.
Andrew,
No.
hold on. Andrew, please tell me you would not prefer Mac over Lamar. Please.
We
tell
don't
me.
have the
We
money for
had the
Lamar.
opportunity. We had the opportunity when his draft season came in.
Yes.
We missed it by a mile. That is not my problem. Now, I will bypass this now.
Okay,
Mhm.
fine.
Lamar is better than Mac
The
Jones.
most, I mean,
As
Yeah.
a runner.
that's a known thing.
He could throw the
Yeah.
ball better too.
That's true. And Bill
Yes.
O'Brien's a legend, so let's go. I can't wait for him either way.
Did you both just go meh? He won MVP with nobody.
I mean,
Worse
Cam Newton won
nobodies.
MVP.
Worse nobodies than who Daniel Jones had. The
Cam-
only only thing he had was Mark Andrews, who was a rookie that year. So
Cam Newton-
Who also had 10 touchdowns that year as well.
Hey,
yes.
Cam Newton was
Yeah.
also MVP with
Yes,
no
that's
one.
fair.
So
Also, Lamar only had 3,100 passing yards. It wasn't exactly like he had. It was
Yeah,
because he was rushing
It
and
was because he
passing.
was such a big ass runner
yes.
Yeah.
and literally
Anyway.
just rushed.
Speaking
Anyways,
of big
yeah.
ass runners, Josh Jacobs also got franchise tagged.
Smart.
This is
Stupid.
pretty much a given.
Ooh.
They should sign him long term. However, I almost think since Aaron Rodgers is probably going to go to the Jets, it seems, that the Raiders are going to sell. I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of Devontae Adams in some fashion, like traded him or something for a lot. That's totally possible. It's probably not necessarily on their radar. They might get a good quarterback, but Josh Jacobs will likely be on the team next year. So
Devontae Adams to the Saints.
So let's just put this out there. This is the same Raiders franchise that the GM is not there anymore, and Josh McDaniels came in and they lost his 5th-year option. Remember this. They lost his 5th-year option because Gruden was the one that opted out of it at the time.
yep,
Well, to be fair, when they did, he was hurt.
To be fair.
yeah.
But like he still had a pretty decent season.
Wasn't it a
Coming
serious
off.
injury though? Wasn't it an Achilles tear
For
for Josh Jacobs? The reason
Yeah,
he was out.
honestly, he was really good his first 2 years, then got hurt and had a rough 2 years, and then he had it last year. He was just absolutely disgusting again, and
Right.
Like his 3rd year, like he fell off. So I mean, I understand why, but like they should have given him that 5th-year option
yeah,
to
it is
really
what it
go
is.
for it.
We don't need to talk about how awful of a coach they had previously.
Hmm.
Deron Payne, we won't talk about a lot. However, the Commanders did franchise tag one of their leading defensive tackles, so happy for them with that. And last
One of
but
the
not
many
Yay.
least,
Alabama ones.
Tony Pollard got franchise tagged. Why? Well, of course, they can't afford to keep him and Zeke, so they need to keep him around for just a wee bit longer, so that they can convince Zeke to leave or trade.
and
him away.
I definitely think the market won't be as competitive for him only because
I take him.
Oh,
I take him, but
I mean,
he's injury prone. That's the
No,
only
he
thing.
is
I mean,
not.
not
He is
not this season. Not this season. I wouldn't want to
He
take
played
him
the
with
most
Derrick
he's ever
Henry.
played, and he was gross.
Okay,
this year.
D. Henry is up on the board right now on the draft on the board to be traded off. So like,
Before we
I
move
would
to
take
Derrick
Henry over
No,
Elliott
we're
any
not
day of
moving
the
on to
week.
him yet because we have
Yeah.
we're gonna have a whole other episode for possible trade scenarios. This is strictly franchise the tagging that happened as well as current stories. Derrick
So-
Henry will be another piece.
I think Tony Pollard is going to be the equivalent, if not kind of slightly better than what we saw Christian Kirk with the Jaguars. Like when Christian Kirk signed with the Jaguars, we were all like, "What the hell kind of contract is this?" And then he balled out and had a great year with a star
Okay.
quarterback. If Tony Pollard, when Tony Pollard eventually leaves, because I think that is what's going to happen. I think Jerry World is too in his own head to convince Zeke to ever leave. So I think Tony Pollard will leave, and he's going to be the number one, and then we're going to see him ball out he's already balling out, but he's going to be a bigger superstar
Yes.
than what.
He
That's
will
why
end
I
up in
disagree.
Chicago.
That's why I disagree with the point that he's like Christian Kirk because we all thought that Christian Kirk's overpaid. I think Tony Pollard would have to make gross amounts of money to be considered overpaid. Because Tony Pollard
That's
is
fair.
essentially what we saw Travis Etienne was this year. I think everyone can agree. They're literally like the same player. Travis Etienne is same build, same everything. Only difference is Travis Etienne, tore his ACL a year prior. But they are very, very similar players. I think Tony Pollard catches the ball a little bit better. But I think that Travis Etienne's a little bit stronger when it comes to the ground. However, we saw Tony Pollard have multiple master classes of games this year. So anywhere that he goes, he should be starting and he should be the guy.
It'll be Chicago.
That'd be interesting. Okay. We'll talk quickly over some people that did not get tagged. I mean, there's some names that are just like weird, like Orlando Brown. The Chiefs not tagging him felt a little bit weird.
Nah, they're
Chauncey,
letting him walk.
yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is also the same story for the Eagles. They're gonna let him walk. That feels weird, but it also doesn't because the Eagles have so much money on their books right now.
Yeah.
This one was really weird.
My
Sorry, go ahead.
my thought on the Chauncey Gardner one is that they're probably gonna just let him like see what there is for options, who's
Yeah.
gonna pay the most out there, and they're probably gonna try to match it or pay a little bit more. Just because the strong safety position, there's not really many of them going out there that are top like picks. Like you only have Hoyer and Chauncey, and I think Taylor Rapp from the Rams is another one. Like those are the only top 3 names that I know about that like are hitting the market on the strong safety side of the ball to be going out there.
They have a week. They have a week to sign him long term. We'll see if they do that or if they wait and let him hit free agency. One of the most consistent kickers in the last few years, Matt Gay. He did not get franchise tagged by the Rams. Feels like they're just trying to drop cap where they can, and this just happens to be another piece of it. And then
Trey Cooper Cup.
Jonathan Jones did not get tagged by the Patriots. Now, I've done a little bit of digging into this because I was very surprised when I saw this with how good he was the last couple of years. First of all, the Patriots never pay corners. That's just a known thing. They don't do it, and
Aside from Stephon Gilmore,
they've only done it once for Stephon Gilmore, who was Defensive Player of the Year that year. So it's kind of a given. Outside of that, they don't really sign them. However, it's pretty much a well-known thing that the Patriots want Jones back, but it was kind of an agreement that he wants to see the market similar to these other guys and see what the market looks like, but that there's a good chance he comes back regardless. So, we will see.
Also, Jacoby Myers is set to hit free agency. Damian Harris is set to hit free agency as well.
And free agency starts in just over a week. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to, not next week, so we'll be doing our bracket. Free agency opens on the 15th, which is Wednesday. So I think we'll do a reaction to the first week of free agency the following week and maybe talk about other free agents and so on. So I think that'll be our goal. But for now, those are just tags when we're going on. The only other thing I do briefly want to talk about is Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. There are strong rumors that Aaron Rodgers is now in conversations with going to the Jets, which is literally worst case fucking scenario as a Patriots fan, because God forbid all 4 teams.
Jeff's executives flew to Green Bay to talk to him.
I did hear and see that. That's not terrifying at all, so I don't want to cry in my sleep. So that's great.
I will say, as soon as Nathaniel Hackett signed with the Jets as their offensive coordinator or quarterback coach, I don't remember, was he offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, as soon as he did that, I went on DraftKings and I placed a futures bet because they did specials, and one of them was where will Aaron Rodgers be starting quarterback for next year, and I got a Jets starting day a quarterback for plus 500. So that will be fun money for me if if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. It will suck for all of you guys as Patriots fans, but.
Yeah, it's going to be like 16 years since we haven't lost to the Jets, and that might be the first time.
Yeah.
When was the last time?
Nah.
Did you guys lose to them?
We won't
lost
lose
them
them
this year, right?
Yeah.
We haven't lost them in years.
There has been a long streak.
Let's be honest, though. I mean, we were able to nearly beat Aaron Rodgers with Brian Hoyer,
and Zappy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on a different team, though.
We're gonna see what happens. I'm not too worried about it right now. I guess we're just gonna see how the first weeks go. Hopefully, the Patriots make another splash. Okay. Last time
We'll
we
be hitting.
did trade talks was the 20th. I know, Kyle, you did a video for the NHL trade deadline, which is what we're gonna quickly move on over to.
I did.
However, I wanted to briefly talk over a few that have happened, some of the bigger ones. First off, Jacob Chikrin going to the Ottawa Senators. That's pretty crazy. He went for I'm looking at right here, first round pick, second round pick, and another second round pick. First in 2023, second in 2024, and second in 2026. That's a pretty big deal. The fact that one, they did it without any additional players, so no covered salary, and two, the fact that it was essentially top two round picks. Definitely, I feel like on par value. Did you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah. So when I was going over it with Jake in our last video, I went through. Obviously, I went through every trade that happened prior to Friday's deadline, and that was one of the ones that I brought up because I was a little surprised with what happened with the outcome.
He went to
Um,
Ottawa, which is very
which
weird considering they're not really a contender. Like they're just kind of there right now.
they're in a weird
Mhm.
spot, and the thing that I brought up is I looked at those draft picks that the Coyotes got in return, and they all are protected in some way. There's all conditions upon conditions with those draft picks.
Yeah.
And when you trade a great player like Chikrin is, who is top 10 defenseman in the league, when you do that kind of move and you get draft picks that are heavily like they're not solid like the first pick is top 5 protected this year. So if the Senators don't stay hot and lose out in the playoffs and they end up in top 5 pick this year, Coyotes don't get that. The second round pick they have, if the Senators do end up making the playoffs and they don't get that pick, and so on and so forth. So there's just so many conditions that are happening with this that when we went through all the trades, Jake and I each said like our clear winner. Um, and to me, the Senators blew the Coyotes out of the way with this trade. I don't even think it was close.
It's totally possible that they end up not even like, dude. It's totally possible that they end up not even getting anything for this trade or getting so little. So it's definitely crazy to me
Mm.
that it happened
Yeah,
the way
I
it
agree.
did. So I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. So that was the first trade. Now, again, I know you talked about this on the trade deadline video, but this is a podcast with a lot of Bruins fans. The Bruins officially traded for on Thursday. They traded for Tyler Bertuzzi in exchange for a first-round pick in the 2024 draft and a fourth-round pick in the 2025 NHL draft. The fourth-round pick isn't a lot in general. There was also an additional pick that was sent over to the Wild to handle a percentage of the cap, if I remember correctly, right?
That was
No,
in the
that was
Orlov trade.
the Orlov trade. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Which I
It's
found
okay.
that the Bruins only had to have 25% of Orlov's salary for this year, which
Correct.
is crazy. Also, a mutual interest in signing an extension with both Orlov and Bertuzzi. Fun fact. Don't know how the hell that's going to work, but they'll figure it out. Anyway, so they
Yeah,
required
good luck.
Bertuzzi for a first and a fourth. I can give you some emphasis on how that's gone. First of all, the Orlov and Hathaway trade has gone fantastic. Even if you don't include Hathaway, Orlov in 5 games has scored 8 points for the Bruins, and he did not score a single one in the first game. And he scored 7 of them in 3 games. So if you want any statistics on how that trade's going, Orlov is playing like a madman. Bertuzzi, on the other hand, has also gotten a few points in his time with the Bruins already in just a few games. He's been playing very well. I have never seen a trade so perfect for for 3 players to be traded in 2 separate trades to a team and fit so well so fast. Because Orlov has made Hampus Lindholm look like he did before Charlie McAvoy came back, and that I didn't think that was
Yeah, that's
possible.
fair.
And Lindholm is playing better because of that. They look like they played together for years. They played together for weeks. And Bertuzzi looks amazing on that third line. And honestly, he's just fun to watch with him, Coyle, and they kind of trade out the third guy on that line. But if Trent Frederick is usually who it is. So that's like a lot of like get in your face, like go fuck yourself. Like it's so much fun having 2 Brad Marchands on the team, and then you can throw
Yeah.
Trent Frederick for 3. Isn't it fun, Kyle?
So I will say I went to the Bruins Rangers game in Boston on Saturday. And seeing this Bruins team live was actually pretty sensational to see. Like I've seen like highlights of this team and I've seen like what they're doing. and it is just that impressive in person. And
Mm-hmm.
the Rangers didn't play a bad team. They didn't play a bad game. Like they were out shooting the Bruins for most of the night. Like the Bruins just didn't. To me, it kind of looks like the Bruins were just like, yeah, it's the Rangers. I feel like the Bruins didn't try that hard, which is sad.
I told their coaching staff to not take the game seriously. Sorry,
Yeah,
Kyle.
that's fair. Oh, damn it, Steve.
Yeah.
But anyway, in that game, you had both Orlov and Bertuzzi get assists in that game.
Yep.
But both of the new players, and that was Bertuzzi's first game with the Bruins. By the way, he didn't have a single
So
practice.
cute.
He didn't have a single practice with the Bruins before then.
No.
And
Don't
he
worry,
goes out
chat.
there-
If you're only paying attention to Molly, you're on the same boat as me. It's okay.
I was about to say, who's paying attention to Kyle Wentz?
I
His
am.
dog
I
right
am,
there.
Kyle. I think you're just as cute.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Nick. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
I know Molly's cuter. I get it, but anyway,
She's
in
so
that-
adorable.
in that NHL trade video that Jake and I did rate this trade a clear A and a clear Bruins victory because Detroit are absolute idiots, as I explained in the video. So
Mhm.
yeah, that happened.
That's a
Yeah.
shocker.
And that's isn't it interesting to just see how good the Bruins are becoming. They've had a tough season so far, and so it's really important that they continue this 10-game win streak. Where they're really starting to hit their stride, Kyle, because they haven't had a great season in the Bruins so far. So
Yeah,
Do we still not have double
Bruins have
digit?
sucked.
they do not
Right.
have double digits regulation losses yet.
How about overtime losses either?
They have 8
They have
regulation
12,
losses
right?
and
12
5
losses if you combine. 13.
And they have 5 overtime losses.
Oh,
So they have a total of 13 losses at all. The Bruins at this point need to go a whopping either 14 or well, let me think of the math here. There's 20 games left. They have to go 14-6 to beat the record. That means they need to go 7-3 twice, which by the way is a totally feasible thing to beat the.
Not
playoff
only
record.
is it feasible, it's more plausible than them not going.
Yes,
that.
at this point, that's what it feels like. Even while resting players, there's a good time. I also heard a rumor that Taylor Hall, because cap goes out the window when the season ends, by the way,
Yes.
Taylor
Correct.
Hall will be coming back for the playoffs to be playing on the third line with
So
Tyler Bertuzzi and Charlie Coyle.
that reminds me, that is also something I brought up. Y'all should really go watch that stinking video that Jake and I did on Thursday. I mentioned this already. That
this
because
is the main broadcast. Okay, this is.
yes, but people need to go watch that other video
They
first.
can get a deeper.
And
analysis.
subscribe to our Patreon.
They give you
Oh my
a
There is
deeper
none.
analysis on the video. So go ahead.
Anyway, I was mentioning it because Taylor Hall is injured and he is now on LTIR, which is long-term injury reserve. That his salary cap does not get held to the rest of the team's salary cap. And once the playoffs start, Molly, stop eating the door. Once the playoffs start, the salary cap goes out the window. So like Nick said, Taylor Hall can't come back. Now, this is a very controversial thing that happens in the league because it's known as salary circumvention, when they are essentially finding ways to, because Taylor Hall's injury is not super severe, it's a serious thing, but not super severe.
It was. He was probably going LTIR anyways, just so we're on the same page. But it just so happens to work out here.
But anyway, it has happened before. Most recently happened with the Tampa Bay Lightning a few years ago. It happened with Vegas a couple years ago. It's happened with the Blackhawks a few years ago. Like, teams have done this, and it is totally legal as part of the CBA agreement. But it is very frowned upon amongst fans, where salary cap circumvention, because the salary cap doesn't count in the playoffs, you see these super teams forming. It happened with the Tampa Bay Lightning right before COVID, where Nikita Kucherov, who superstar, one of the top 4 or 5 players in the league, was put on LTIR, and all leading up to the playoffs, the team kept saying his injury is severe. We don't know if he'll play. His injury is really bad. Nope, he might be out for the playoffs. First round of the playoffs, Kucherov is magically healthy and in the lineup.
Mhm.
So
I would
I
like
don't
to clarify it's a little different from that situation, and the only
yes, I
reason
will
why
say,
is because even if salary cap was a thing, they're only over by like 1 million. Like it's
which
barely.
is that's still a big amount though. It's
It,
not like it's
it
minuscule.
For
is,
NHL, yeah.
but when they got traded, Bertuzzi got traded over, he did have 50% retained. So
Yes,
his
he
salary
did.
for the year was only like 2 million, and they already had um, some space to figure out. So, anyways, point being, as I will let Kyle do his thing. Point being, I think that I agree it's kind of scuffed, but if other teams are going to do it and the Bruins are in a place where they can do it, I'm not going to fight it. If the
It's
Rangers,
Boston's
totally
definitely gonna do it.
they already are, Justin. They already are doing
if
it,
the
but it's
Rangers are
totally
in the same
legal.
situation, it would be
No,
the same
exactly.
thing. Yeah, right.
I agree. It's legal as long as it's allowed by the rules. So why not take advantage of it if you're put in that
It's just
situation?
not like there's a $7 million player that gets hurt, and then they got another $7 million player that they put the other one on LTIR, and now they have $7 million over the cap. They're a whole superstar of the cap. It's not like that. Like we're talking a third line guy,
Well,
maybe first line on other teams.
Taylor Hall is a superstar.
Well, so
Let's
is
be
Tyler
real.
Bertuzzi, so it's chill out.
Eh,
Well, Taylor, it's funny. A superstar who's playing third line and having the best year of his career until he got hurt. So, it'd be like
not
that
having the
sometimes.
best year of his career.
Other than his MVP year, he's had the best year he's had
Yes, I
since
was
his
gonna say.
MVP year.
Yeah, that's a better statement. I'll accept that one. I was just gonna
He
say, are you forgetting his MVP year he
The
had a couple
thing
years
is,
ago?
he can stay on this team long term because he'll never be the first option because he'll always be Pasta, and for that, I think that
Mhm.
he'll stay here a long time. So, anyways, we're gonna quickly go through some of these trades. One that stands out that I'm sure you talked about: Jonathan Quick gets traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen the Kings organization do. And they had some awful things happen quite a few years ago. So, I don't really know how to feel about that.
Yeah, Jonathan Quick. I felt bad for him. He was very vocal about how upset he was after that trade. And his teammates were also very vocal about how upset they were after the trade. Luckily, he's in a good place now because he not only got traded once, he got traded twice. Literally the next day, he got traded to the Golden Knights. So
Yes, to a team
Oh,
that's
that's
actually
not.
doing something. So
he
Yeah.
at least got moved to a contender.
yes,
Jake and I were both very confused by this trade. We were like, why screw over your best goalie of your in franchise history?
the guy who won you
But
multiple cups, but it's fine.
yeah,
There's a few I'm seeing here. Max Domi got traded to the Stars from the Blackhawks. They continue their sell-off. Patrick Kane and so on, which we've already talked about previously. By the way, Kyle, how's the
Yeah.
Patrick Kane experience going? Because it doesn't seem like it's going super well.
well, so looking at him at the game, he looked pretty good. But today was actually his first practice with the team. So not all new traded players can be Tyler Bertuzzi and get an assist right away, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
no. By the way, Tyler Bertuzzi's not as good as Patrick Kane, but not
no,
everyone
not even
just
close.
Not
Right.
everyone just blends in with the team, which team
No.
chem matters almost more than being good at the game. And
Luckily, Patrick Kane, one of Patrick Kane's best friends, is already on the team in Artemi Panarin. So that is a great
are they
sign.
on the same line?
Yes, they are on the same line.
So you're saying that you're very top heavy in both offense and defense.
No, not really, because our third line is still just as good.
Would
I
you
think
say
we're
your
good all the
third
way
line
down.
is as good as the Bruins in the playoffs?
No, I would not. I won't say that, but
Would you say
I
your
think it's
second line is as good as the Bruins' third line in the playoffs?
yes.
You would say, I don't know who your second line
Yes.
is, but you would say that they're as good as
It's
Tyler
Artemi
Bertuzzi,
Panarin. Yes,
Charlie
it's
Coyle, and
Artemi Panarin, Patrick Kane, and Vincent Trocheck is absolutely as
their
good, if not
second
better.
line. Who the hell is your
Yes.
first line?
Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, and Vlad Tarasenko.
Well, I would take my first line over your first line.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair.
I would.
But our first
Pastas-
line's chemistry is absolutely insane, so
well,
it's
so
fine.
is our first line, so you can call
Yeah,
it even
but
there.
I'm
at
just
the
saying
very least.
our first line also This is besides the point.
I'm just saying, Kyle, I take Pasternak over your whole second line. So not combined, but in general, like I think Pasternak's the best player of those four. And then after him, you have
Pasternak's one of the
Krejci.
best players in the league. So
yeah, exactly. He's on our
obviously.
second line. That's crazy, isn't it? Anyways, other big ones here, other than Max Domi, there's a lot of small moves here. I'm not really seeing a lot.
The only big one is John Klimberg.
I
the only
did
big
see
one
that, and that's the last trade that happened. John Klimberg went to the Wild, a contending team this year, from a team who sucks rocks. So, and a little bit of cocks, if you will. So
the Ducks sucks.
Nothing wrong with that.
I was very wrong about the Ducks this year, and me and Kyle are on the same page. So
yeah, it's okay.
I can't wait to do a reaction video because I was fighting Kyle to get the Bruins in the top 3. I said they'd be third or second, and Kyle. I did not think they would be where they are. Nobody did, but Kyle thought they were going to be a fringe wild card team. So that's funny.
I did. I was very wrong.
It's hard for anybody to predict for them to at this point. Yeah.
I did see a video that said if the Bruins go 5-15, they will still be first place in the whole league. There's a good chance. If they go 5-15.
Which is
kind of disgusting.
That's insane. Correct. But that's not a streak you want to be on going into the playoffs, that's for sure. But that's definitely a good scenario. But it's unlikely though, because the Hurricanes are being real red hot too. So I don't know.
Yes, the Hurricanes are 7-3 in their last 10. They won a streak and then they lost 2 in a row. But the Hurricanes are still 13 points behind.
Yeah. So, but if you're going 5-15,
you are losing
that's
20
10
points.
Mm-hmm.
If the Hurricanes win all 20 of those games.
No, they only have to win 10 if they're down 20 points. They have to win half.
No, okay.
If they win half.
Let's look at this from both sides, Kyle. If the Bruins are at 103 right now, right? If they go 5-15, well, it's roughly 5-15. Yeah, it is 5-15. If they go 5-15, they will have 113 points.
Is that Faye in the background?
Yes. The Hurricanes would then need 23 points in 20 games. So they would need to win 12 games.
12 games.
They'd have to go 12-8, which is
very
totally
plausible.
doable, assuming the Bruins only win 5 games.
Yes. I'm not. This is assuming that scenario where if they only win 5, that's also assuming that all of those 15 losses are in regulation.
Yes.
And not overtime or a shootout,
true.
and they get points. That is also assuming that.
Yes, and Kyle, let's look at the Bruins' next 4 games real quick. They play Edmonton, then they play the Red Wings, and the Blackhawks.
So 3 out of 4 wins right there. Oilers is going to be a good one. Is that in Boston or Edmonton?
It's in Boston.
That's a W. 4 wins in a row. All right.
There you go. They'll be up to 16 wins in a row.
16 wins in a row. All right.
And then they play the Jets in Winnipeg, so that could be a good game.
That could be a good game. That's an overtime loss.
And then they play the Wild in Minnesota.
That's
and
a win.
Play the Sabres in Buffalo.
That's also
and then
a
it's
win.
just a few home games. So here's the thing: they play a lot of trash teams. I'm looking at the Canadiens, the Flyers, the Blues, the Blue Jackets, and then the 4 games we talked about. That's like
speaking of the Blues, that Ryan O'Reilly trade that we briefly talked about right before the trade deadline.
Yep.
I feel bad for Toronto because it doesn't look good now, considering Ryan O'Reilly is out for the rest of the year with a broken hand.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for them, does it?
That's a rough trade.
Yes. So honestly, this will continue to go in the NHL as we get closer to playoffs. We're going to be doing brackets. We're going to be doing that stuff. That'll be something that's a lot smaller. They're actually be able to do full brackets for. We'll be doing that probably 1 week and then the NBA the next week. Like we're going to be doing it all together. So let's get to our final topic for today. March Madness is starting to ramp up. When is it starts the 21st or something like that?
It starts hold on. I'm pulling up a calendar so I can
For
see.
sure starts like the 17th.
It's the 14th. So the first four is on the 14th and 15th or 15th and 16th. Now I don't remember. It's either the 14th, 15th or 15th.
Well, it's somewhere that weekend. that it's
Where
supposed to be
is
starting.
when
No,
is the picking
15th,
ceremony?
yeah, 14th. Selection Sunday is this coming Sunday, I believe at 6 p.m. is normally what they do.
Do we want to do do we want to do a live reaction?
That would be kind of fun, actually. I'd be
Mhm.
down.
Okay, so that would be something we'll consider.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that off. So possibly, if people want to show up, maybe doing a live
Mhm.
reaction to Selection Sunday.
Yeah,
So
that'd be
the
cool.
cool part is we will be able to. So we will know the outcome of the first 2 games starting on Tuesday. However, we won't know
Yes.
the outcome for the last 2, but that's okay because all the brackets that we will do will be based on just one team or the other. It doesn't really matter. So whenever you
Mm.
fill out a bracket, it's always one team or the other. It's like slash. So what we're gonna do this week for you guys is we're gonna start creating our own brackets. We're gonna start doing that. We're gonna do our normal bracket challenge that we always do. We're gonna talk about exactly what the goal is for next week, but at the very least, we will be doing a group bracket next week on the show. So that'll be really fun. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to do it post. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to do it on Tuesday. Kyle, we usually can do it after.
Brackets will be available on Sunday. I just want to make sure it won't lock on
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
Because I don't know if it will lock before the first 4 or not.
That's a
It
good
shouldn't. It
It
shouldn't
shouldn't,
because
but I don't
because
know.
of the fact that like you don't have that, you don't know who's coming in to it
I'm looking
until
it up right
afterwards.
now.
It-
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It doesn't tell me really.
well, also depends on which site you're using. I know that the
Yeah.
ESPN March Madness Tournament Central one will never lock on the first 4 games, but if you use like
Yeah.
if you use any of the other ones, it will, because it allows you to edit those at the last second until like actual bracket play starts.
But anyway, yeah, so that will be good then, Andrew, that we can wait until Tuesday actually, and we won't have to change it.
Right.
'Cause that'll be fun to do our bracket at least.
So it says once tip off of your tournament starts, or once tip off of the tournament starts, bracket creation will become locked. I don't think first 4 is considered
No.
a part of the
it
tournament.
is considered part of the tournament. They're the first 4 games of the tournament.
Yes, but they're last place seedings, or they're the last
Yeah,
bit
but
of
it's still-
seedings that like it does not it would affect the outcome of the whole entire bracket in the end.
We'll
Like,
double
you're-
check this.
Yes.
We'll double check this, and we'll let you all know. We may do a separate video, separate from our actual podcast, if we
Might
need
have
to.
Mhm.
Just so we can all make sure 100% that it's up
Yeah,
and running for
we'll
you guys.
create a group.
Yeah.
Brackets will be available 3/12 at 7 p.m. when we know the actual thing.
Mhm.
It doesn't say when we'll be able to actually know here. I'll be looking at it.
But anyways, this
Okay.
is championship week, so we do have
Mhm.
a lot of
Con.
the big conferences are starting tomorrow. Tonight and tomorrow are when the big Power 6 conferences of college basketball start their tip-offs. The Big East does tip off tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
The A10 tipped off tonight. The ACC tips off tomorrow. Same with the Big 10 and Big 12. And I believe the Pac-12 also tips off.
I have
Yes,
confirmation.
Okay.
Lock time. All game picks will lock at the scheduled tip-off of the first game of round 1 during the tournament,
Okay.
currently
There
scheduled
it
for
is.
Thursday, March 16th. So we will be able to do it live on the show without any issues. So we have plenty of time. So yes, so we'll figure out exactly what that looks like, but at the very least, we will be doing on next Tuesday's show a bracket live at the very least of the group. We're not sure if we're going to do it all separate or not, like we did last year. We want to be conscious of time and so on, but that'll be pretty much our whole episode. As then in the following weeks, we'll be doing other stuff. So
We do also already have some teams that have
please,
one
yes.
of the automatic bids. Mount St. Mary's from the MAC is one. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was the first round. That was not the championship game. My mistake. I thought I just saw championship and it was not the first round. Where was it? Hello, there. The Oral Roberts and North Dakota State Championship is today. That's the one that is the championship game, and that is the Summit League. So we will get to see. Oral Roberts has kind of been sweeping the nation this year, so that will be fun. And Gonzaga and St. Mary's also the WCC conference have their championship tonight at 9 o'clock. Go St. Mary's. That will be a fun game.
UConn versus Providence tomorrow at 6.
Holy hell! I didn't even know that's who they were playing in the first round. Are you sure it's
Uh,
UConn versus Providence?
It is.
Oh,
It
in the
is.
first round. What?
Of the quarterfinals of the Big East tournament.
Well, the quarterfinals hasn't started yet, so it's not.
No, I know, but it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow they play.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah. It is UConn and Providence.
Mm. Well, anyway, that'll be a fun game.
That's
Um,
always a fun game to watch. Except
that
UConn's
will-
been back on their hot streak when they first started out.
It's Thursday, by the way, Andrew. Thursday at 2:30, not tomorrow.
Oh, sorry.
That's
My
okay.
fault. I forgot. It's not Wednesday yet, everyone.
It's not Wednesday
It's
yet.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, my dudes.
So that'll be fun. That will be a great game to watch. It sucks that's at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, I know.
What?
I know.
It's all right. I'll sneak it in during work. It's okay.
Except that, like, I watched the women's UConn basketball team just wipe off Villanova in their championship game, so they're into the bracket already for the women's side.
Well, that's good.
And this could be the year UConn could go back to back with both teams.
They did in what?
With both teams. 2014. 2014 was the only year that both teams won the national championship.
Mhm.
And that was the best time ever watching them come home to UConn with both titles.
Yeah, that must have been a fun time.
Oh, God, it was. I was a freshman in high school at that time.
Or
Yeah,
Oh,
UConn
wow.
I remember that
University.
time. So is there anything else you want to talk about? Well, that we're gonna have our bracket show next week. Is there anything else March Madness related, or anything else anyone wanted to talk about as we get into a very exciting episode next week?
I just saw Tom Brady tweeted, "Why would I come back to the NFL when I adopted a 2-month-old kitten?" So I think Brady is going to
For
stay
his
retired.
daughter. For his daughter,
Yeah, there was a
supposedly.
couple people talking today saying there was a rumor he might again.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, I saw it for, like, Miami.
Miami, and he's like, "Why the hell?" So I don't think he's gonna be doing that.
No,
A
he's
lot of
just stay
people like
retired.
it's a lot of people just like trying to get a like attention on social media right now. If they're like a
Yeah.
nobody, they're just trying to get their attention right now to get like everyone to be like, "Oh my God, Tom Brady's actually gonna come back," and then it just
Yeah.
causes a whole entire trending.
Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers goes to the Jets, and then the Green Bay picks up Brady.
He's not going to Green Bay.
Nobody
oh my
wants
God.
to play in Wisconsin. Nobody wants to be a cheesehead.
That's
That's
facts.
also not an offense that Brady wants to deal with.
Okay.
Also, like Zay Flowers supposedly is being looked at to go to to Green Bay, and that was if Rodgers was staying. I don't know if they should go after him now because now they have no quarterback if they don't sign Jordan Love
Mhm.
again.
Yep.
Nobody knows. Anyways, that was it for us this week. We will have probably a longer episode next week if we're being realistic. It's
Mhm.
gonna be a really fun one. We're gonna be doing our bracket show. You'll be seeing kind of how we're doing that, but we'll be talking all things college basketball. Steve will be picking lawnwood and other sexual innuendos. Otherwise,
Always.
we'll all be doing our best to get it right so that we win a car from Kia or whoever the hell is sponsoring it this year. We do thank you for taking the time to sit with us today and listen to us talk. If you are on other platforms, definitely make sure to go follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are constantly putting up polls and other posts. Definitely make sure to go take time to watch our YouTube videos. We love when you see your face. We love knowing that you're there. And definitely make sure to tune in next week when we have our bracket episode, as we are here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys for your time. We hope you have a